Hey folks, glad to have you on the channel today with me. If this is your first time here, my name is Chris, I'm your host, and you are at the Finance and Freedom YouTube channel. I am glad to have you here, and if you are a returning visitor, then welcome back. I appreciate your coming back and viewing an additional video with us. And today, as we make this video, we're within days of the end of the year 2024. And if you are like most people, you're probably spending more time thinking about your New Year's resolutions and your New Year's Eve party than probably things that we should all be considering, which is where are we today? Where have we been in the past? And where are we going in the future? So that's what today's episode is going to be. But just to reiterate, if this is your first time here or if you're a returning visitor, thanks again for joining me today at the close of 2024. I hope you will like the video. And if you do like the video and the information that's in the video itself, please like the video and consider subscribing and going back and viewing some of the previous videos that we've made here on the channel and see if there's additional information that could be beneficial to you. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So as I mentioned, it is now a time in which most people are considering their New Year's resolutions and their next fad diet and how they're going to exercise forever and be, super strong and very healthy and that sort of thing. And that's all fine and well, but if you're like I am, if you make a lot of if you make a lot of New Year's resolutions, you're probably going to break them all within the first 2 weeks, right? But let's refocus on our finances for just a moment, or for however long it takes this video to be completed. Finances. Yeah, I mean, that's probably more important than that fad diet that you're going to be on for 2 weeks. So let's talk about that. And this should be your year-end review, preferably before the end of the year. And excuse me, and not into the mid part of 2025 to be doing that. So as I am an advocate of pencil or pen and paper, let's consider taking out that proverbial pen and paper and sitting down and thinking about 2024 and your finances. Where are your finances? How have your finances been going? Are they going well? Are they not going so according to your plan from 2023? If you even had a plan for 2023 and 2024, and most of us actually we don't. We just kind of we live paycheck to paycheck and we just go about our daily business and hey, it'll take care of itself tomorrow, right? Not so much. It's very important that we do that year-end review and find out where we've been over the past, and at this point, 11 months and approximately 3 weeks. What we've done, what we haven't done, what we intended to do, and what we actually completed. In doing that year-end review, you're looking at not just what you did or where you were at financially. You're also looking at what your plan had been, if you had a plan. Again, most people don't have a plan, right? Now, that being said, a plan takes thought, it takes process, and if you complete those two things, the big thing that is a must is implementation. If you made a plan, but you didn't execute it, or you didn't execute it well, you kind of planned to fail. There is an old saying, something along the lines of, you create a plan, you execute a plan, and you make the plan work. If you don't plan, then you're planning to fail. And so we don't want a plan to fail. So we want to have a plan. But in doing so, we need to look at where we've been, again, where we're at now, and where we would like to be. Now, granted, no one has a crystal ball, that at least not one that works well, right? So what we want to do is, based on the best information that we may have, either through our experience, excuse me, our experience or experience of others, we want to draw up a plan that will hopefully provide us with the ability to meet our goals. Now, we've talked about goals in the past on the channel. Your goals have to be your goals. If your goal is to be a multimillionaire or a millionaire, then you have to have a plan and you have to execute that plan, and it has to work pretty well. But it's not going to happen overnight or in 12 months. Hence, we need to look at our finances from where we were, where we are, and where we want to go to. Okay, so if your ultimate goal is to be a multimillionaire, you have to have a plan to get there, right? Warren Buffett, Robert Kiyosaki, people of that nature have always had plans. They've planned, they've executed, and they adjusted that plan while they were executing it. So if you realize that during the execution of your plan things aren't working, or your execution was flawed, you can go back and you can change that. You can change it on the fly if that's something that's necessary. Okay, but you must have that plan to start with. So look at where your finances were, let's say in 2024, for this past year. Look at it where it was the year prior to that and see what's changed. Have you adjusted your plan, or did you not have a plan and just made one this past year during 2024? If that's the case, think about where you want to be next year. Where do you want to be in 3 years or 5 years or 10 years? There are models, software models, if you will, that can estimate where you will be, where you will be given a certain level of investments, where you will be in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 50 years down the road, if you want to plan out that far. You can do all of those things, and granted, markets change. Your investment style may change. You may go, as you get older, you may become less aggressive in your modeling as well as your investments. So you may model out to, let's say, a 15 or 20% return on your investment. And as you get older, maybe you're looking at a little bit more safety in your investment style. So maybe you're looking more like your 10 or 12%, not quite as risky, shall we say. And in doing that, you cut down on your risk. You also cut down on the potential for outsized gains in your investments. Okay, but take all of that into consideration and at least draw up a plan for next year, for 12 months out, and let's see where you're going from there. Okay. Not only should we be doing our financial review at this time of year for the past year, or the past several years even for that matter, we should also be looking at retirement planning. If you're not already in retirement, and let's say you're in your 40s or 50s, you're probably starting to consider retirement a lot more than you did over the past, say, 5 years, right? So in doing so, start looking at your retirement. How do you want to retire? Where do you want to retire? How are you going to pay for your retirement? Are you one of the fortunate ones that have a pension plan, similar to a previous discussion we had on this channel about how so few people actually have the ability to have a pension once they've been at a position or a job so many years and then decide to retire? Or are you one of those that don't have that luxury and you don't have that financial stability of a pension at retirement? If you're not, then you definitely need to consider retirement planning. And along with that retirement planning, it's time to start, particularly as you get older or you are older, you have more assets, and you have family members. It is also a time to start thinking about estate planning. Now, I'm not all about doom and gloom, and certainly the channel is not meant to be that way, but estate planning should actually be something that we consider even in our 20s and 30s, because as you're firmly aware, I'm sure, everybody doesn't pass away at old age. Some people pass away when they're 20s or 30s. I mean, if you think back about the number of folks that have been, let's say, celebrities, either from movies, TV, sports figures, certainly. Folks along those lines are publicized very well when they pass away at an earlier age than what most people would consider old. I think in the United States, particularly, most people think old is like in your 70s or 80s. But when you're seeing people, particularly those like sports stars, NFL, basketball, that sort of thing, that are in their 20s and 30s and they're passing away from heart failure and things of that nature, cancer. I mean, you never know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen to you, right? So estate planning should be taken into consideration, earlier in your life. And again, particularly if you have a lot of assets, which I hope everybody that's watching the video and watching the channel, I hope all of you have got a lot of assets on hand or in your investments, or that you're getting some information from this channel that will help you develop that. And in doing so, if you've got the assets or you plan to have the assets, it's a good idea to start working on your estate planning. Make sure you have a will. Make sure you have a power of attorney, things of that nature. There are lots of articles that I have read, particularly recently, where people that are certified financial planners are advising their clients that they should seriously consider doing that sooner rather than later. Powers of attorney and wills are extremely important, particularly as you gain assets from a financial standpoint. You don't want to leave that to the whim of the government, do you? I know I certainly wouldn't, and I would assume that most people would not also. So those are things that particularly need to be considered. Now let's go back and talk a little bit more about the planning for your finances for next year. Okay. Again, hope you got your paper and your pen out and you're jotting down some notes and thoughts as we discuss this here in the channel. It is extremely important that you have the ability to give knowledge and well, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that you need to be able to provide information on your assets to those in your family that you intend to pass those assets on to if you were to pass away, and that's part of your estate planning. But it's also good to have it maybe written down your user IDs and your passwords for your bank accounts, for your checking accounts, your investment accounts, whether those be Roth IRAs or traditional IRAs, whether they're investment vehicles through your employer if you work as an employee. and you invest in a 401k or something along those lines, without the information on and how to access those accounts, if something were, to happen to you, even if you didn't pass away, if you became seriously ill, and there was some question as to whether or not you would be able to pay for those medical treatments that you might need. Certainly, a trusted family member or someone that you trust with that information would be able to ascertain, your ability to pay for those types of things, and that particularly points to insurance, health insurance. So it's not just about your investments, folks. It's very important that information regarding your health insurance is available to that trusted person in your family or a family friend, right? Hospitals are very unforgiving when it comes to debt. It seems that more and more hospitals and clinics in the health industry today are more cash strapped than the average person walking up and down the sidewalk in your town, wherever that town may be in the United States. Okay, they pretty much will not treat you if they don't have some ability to ensure that you're going to pay. If it's a very expensive treatment, so whether it's surgery or blood transfusions or whatever the case may be, but but particularly surgeries, which are expensive, treatments of that sort can be hundreds and hundreds of hundreds of thousands of dollars, and even up to $1 million. It really depends on what the matter is, what type of surgery is required, the number of surgeries required. Because think about it, just every ailment that needs surgery does not get cured or taken care of with just one surgery. There could be multiple surgeries involved. The drugs to treat the effects of those surgeries or to alleviate the pain from those surgeries. It can be extremely expensive, and it's not unheard of for insurance companies to be billed by doctors for, $500,000, $800,000, $1 million. It's phenomenal that healthcare in the United States is as expensive as it is. The drugs are expensive, and the surgeries are expensive. The treatments are expensive. It is just extremely hard for the average person to not just get quality care, but quality care that's affordable, right? So those are things that if you have health insurance, which can be beneficial for paying for those, and a hospital is needing assurance that they're going to get paid, they may not even perform the surgery until they get that assurance. So if you're incapacitated in some form or fashion and you're unable to get them that information, I could easily see a hospital saying, until the patient is ready to die, we're just not going to do anything except keep them stable until we know we're going to get paid. And that seems a little cold-hearted. And on the hospital side, it is pretty cold-hearted, because I thought they took a Hippocratic oath to treat the ill and all that kind of thing. I guess in this day and age where everything is driven by cash or cash equivalents, I guess that Hippocratic oath just doesn't mean as much as it used to. Okay, so anyway, I think that's kind of given us the impetus for the reasoning, I guess I should say, behind the video today, and that is planning. The year in review from a financial standpoint, extremely, extremely important. If you're not doing it, I highly encourage you to do it. Do you need a PhD education to do this? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Again, pull out your pencil, pull out your paper. You can do it on your computer if you really like to do it, things like that on your computer, although I find it's easier for me to, and faster if I just do it on regular piece of notebook paper or typewriter paper or Xerox paper or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? Um, so your choice, your pill, your poison, whichever one you choose. Okay. Um, but anyway, 2024 is coming to a close. Our next video that comes up on the channel will be the first one of 2025. So I want to close this out and say I wish you guys a happy new year. I will see you back on the channel next time. I hope that again in the interim that you will go back and review some of the previous videos. Again, if you have questions or want to make some comments on this or other videos, by all means, feel free. YouTube makes that a big deal. It helps the algorithm, of course. But again, I want all of you and I wish all of you the utmost success for the coming year, financially, from a freedom standpoint, a family standpoint, and yeah. Best wishes to each and every one of you. See ya.